I'm Cindy Lauper. My psoriasis was all over, even on my scalp, which may mean 4 times the risk for psoriatic arthritis. But Cosentyx works on both.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis 300 milligram dose and adults with active psoriatic arthritis 150 milligram dose. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some are fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at Cosentyx.com or 1-844-COSENTYX. Ask your doctor about Cosentyx.
So there's a love language you are probably operating from. That is the reason why you continue to end up in loveless connections, friendships, partnerships, even family dynamics. And I'm here to break it down to you because I just had a moment myself where it was just like, boom, there it is. Guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Bear Brain Podcast, where the goal is to rise above it all, stay elevated, create that infinity, and up your you. I'm your host, Isaiah, and it's funny because today's episode was going to be about the body and how it has anniversaries, and I think I still want to do an episode on that because there have been so many things that have just been happening to me, for me, through me, that have just really reminded me that, y'all, there are things bigger than us. And when I say that, like, in terms of life experiences, in terms of things that need to transpire, sometimes it is so much bigger than you. And there are so many things moving through you and working for you in your favor. And you just have to kind of clock in. And you know, something I often don't really talk about is how I move through life or how I have moved through life. And intuition being a very big part of that. Not in a very woo-woo, dismembered, kind of careless or reckless way, but intuition. Intuition and faith are very big for me, and it's not something that I kind of tote around, and it is not a diss or a dismissal of anybody else, but it's just not how I move, right? Because I think intuition in itself is a very sacred experience, and I try my best to respect it in that way. Just because I have no other choice but to respect it and hold it in a high regard. So it's not something that I'm like, I guess, super vocal about or that I am flamboyant about. It's just there. So stay tuned for that episode because there are some things I would love to point out to you guys in terms of like how your body is keeping like cliff notes of experiences and timing and everything, like how it just, oh man, that's going to be a crazy episode. But in the meantime, something else I wanted to hit you guys with is how you are teaching people to love you less, and you may not even know it. I saw this video just recently, and I was even having the conversation, I think, like the day, literally the night prior, before I saw this video. And there's this very interesting. Everything has moderation, everything in balance, right? I think there is an understanding that in order to be in relationship with other people, there has to be a certain level of inconvenience, right? You have to be okay with being an inconvenience to other people. That's a part of the relationship. Inconvenience, right? People are willing to be inconvenienced by so many things for other things, right? A person knows that they are going to be in traffic on their way to work. So what do? In most cases, they're willing to get up early to make sure that they make it to work on time, right? Because I get paid, right? It's a job. So I'm willing to be inconvenienced for this job, okay? A person knows that there might be a certain dress code. All right, so that means I have to spend money to go get clothes, to get different clothes if I don't have them, to make sure I am accommodating what is required of me at this job. Then, of course, we dip into relationships. People talk about how they are at capacity. They don't have the room for such and such because blah, blah, blah. Insert whatever is necessary for a person to say. But you recognize they are willing to extend their capacity for a relationship, even if that relationship is unhealthy, inconsiderate, or insufferable, which tells us that we are always willing to be inconvenienced. We are always willing to be inconvenienced. And there are some people out there who are willing to be inconvenienced by other people, but fear so much being an inconvenience to those same people in the smallest ways, right? If your love language is acts of service, I want you to pay attention to how often you are willing to go out your way for other people, right? And I want you to look at the goal behind why you were doing it. I was talking to my brother the other day, and I was like, there are some people who want to be perceived as charitable, right? So they make sure that they post a video of them giving to the less fortunate, or they tell everybody what they've done for so on and so forth, right? They're never quiet about how charitable they are, which lets us know that they're doing it for something else. I am giving to receive, right? I'm not just giving because this other person, I want to make sure they receive from me. I'm doing it to receive, even if it's just an inflation to my ego. But if you are an acts of service kind of person, especially, you are willing to go out of your way. You're willing to check in. You're willing to show up and be supportive. You are willing to do these little things. You're willing to rearrange your schedule. You're willing to do what's necessary to make sure that relationships are intact. What do you usually expect from people in return? Do you expect that same level? Or no? Are you always making sure you are so self-sustained that no one else ever has to show up or look out for you? Right? Are you so self-sufficient, hyper-independent, right? And let's talk about hyper-independence, because I've talked about this so much. And once I learned it, I relearned the need to be hyper-independent. When you are a hyper independent person, you are still codependent with yourself, which means that you are solely relying on your own ability and capacity to get things done. And what you fail to realize is that you can't do it all, nor should you be looking to. Okay. And I want you to realize that you should not be doing it all in your interpersonal relationships. The reason why is because you are teaching other people that you are willing to do it all for yourself, and you're also willing to do it all for them. And what that teaches people is they never have to step in for you. Okay. Sometimes the love language that you are practicing is that I don't need to be loved in return. Sometimes the love language that you are expressing is that, hey, I am willing to love myself less, and I am also going to allow you to love me less just so I can show how much I love you in return. Sometimes that is the love language you are exhibiting and you are showing up with in your relationships with other people. Okay? And I want you to be honest. with yourself, right? In terms of how you're operating. But I also want you to take an honest look at the relationships that you are existing in. Humans are creatures of habit, right? We could be lazy, very lazy about things that are not important to us, right? We will bust our behinds for things that are meaningful to us because they give us a sense of identity, right? No matter how unhealthy, unstable, dysfunctional it is, people, places, or things, we will rise to the occasion for those things. Why? Because it's in us. It's a part of us. It's important to us. That is a part of our value system, right? This is something that we feel that we have to work for. We feel that it's a challenge. We feel that we have to earn it. So therefore, we are willing to rise to that occasion, no matter what. We could be burned out, blacked out, right? We could not be seeing straight, and we are still willing to show up for that person, for that thing, okay, for that position. However, the things that we don't respect, the things that we don't value, we will always give an excuse. We will always rationalize not having to show up. And when you are the type of person who rationalizes other people's disregard, inconsideration, lack of effort when it comes to you, you are allowing people to feel very comfortable in how they move. Okay? When you try so hard to make it easy for people to love you, you make it easy for people to disrespect you. Right? When you try not to be an inconvenience, when you try not to be a person that needs much, you are going to run into a lot of people who want to take advantage of that. You are not going to run into people who value it. I promise you, there are very few times, I'll tell you, there are very few times in my life where I have had an exchange with people who valued the level of effort that I shown up with, professionally and even personally. Very few people. I could probably count on maybe one hand, I'd say two, just to be generous. And I've lived a long life, right? I lived a long life. And more often than not, I've realized that people will get comfortable before they are willing to contort, before they are willing to change, before they are willing to rise to the challenge and value and appreciate what you show up with. So one of the things I've had to learn is, hey, Isaiah, what are you teaching other people? What exactly are you teaching other people? Right? And it's funny because even now I joke with my buddies about my boundaries, right? I joke with my buddies about my boundaries constantly. And it's a joke, but it's serious because they also recognize like, yo, Zay, I get it now. I get it, right? Because my boundaries are not harsh. It's actually kind of the standard in a lot of ways, the bare minimum. You know, for me, I don't really play in the realm of ambiguity or a person being unsure of how I deserve to be treated. Once that is there, once that is the precedent, I kind of check out. I check out. The reason why is because I don't need to be taught how to treat people. I'm willing to learn how people desire to be treated, but I don't need to be taught how to treat somebody properly. You get me? So because I don't need that crash course, that doctorate in that space, when it seems like I am met with a person who can't seem to figure out how to treat me specifically, but they know and they're willing to learn how to treat other people that they value. Okay, that tells me something. This is not something that you value. And it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It's just what it is. Okay. When we say we teach people how to treat us, we also need to understand what are we teaching ourselves, because it's not always about other people. They need an invitation. And if you are trying so hard to be accommodating, you're trying so hard to be low maintenance. That's a big one too, right? You're trying so hard to be low maintenance, to go with the flow, or nothing ever bothers me, or I don't need much, I'll take care of it myself. You are giving people the permission to allow you to take care of yourself while you continue to take care of them. And I promise you, it's very rare that somebody is going to pass up on that opportunity. You mean to tell me I don't have to do much to get all of you? And I don't have to give you much? And you give me all? Say less. Right? Tell me where to sign. But you got to understand the fine print, right? For you, it's resentment. The fine print for them is kind of experiencing at some point in time, you are going to have a need that they are not equipped. They haven't been training to meet. It's kind of like a person who doesn't budget, right? Now this expense comes up that they have to pay for that they weren't expecting. It's like, well, why the hell weren't you budgeting? Well, I didn't think I need to. I wasn't expecting this, right? Up until this point, everything was cool. Everything was sweet. So why the hell would I even think that I'd have to budget? There's something so interesting when you finally start to love yourself, when you genuinely love yourself. That means you stop showing up in spaces and letting people know that they don't have to love you back. And love is an action, right? Love is an action. We can say that we love a person, but hey, depending on how you treat me, that's the only thing I could go off of. Right? But when you start loving yourself, that means you step into spaces and the requirement is that you are loved and cared for in return. And love does not mean that a person has to buy you flowers every single day or whatever. It just means that they have a certain level of consideration for you. And they are willing to equip themselves with skills, awareness, discipline, respect to show you that, hey, this is not a one-sided connection at all. And I got you. Sometimes the love language that you operate from is that I am willing to be loved less to love you more. That's the love language. That's your love language. That's what you were communicating to other people. Hey, you don't have to do much. I'll give you everything. It's all good. Stop trying so hard to be easygoing, right? And to be an inconvenience does not mean you're insufferable. That's something I had to learn too. Okay. I know naturally, I was telling my buddy, I was like, I know naturally my baseline in terms of how I operate. And I'm a very consistent person. I have been for years. Nothing has really changed about me except the fact that I've got older. I've become more refined in terms of who I am and how I move. Nothing has really changed. So since I know that how I move is consistent, which means a lot of times, more often than not, people are not getting a representative of me. You're getting exactly who you get and who I am. Exactly. There is no change up. And because I know that, I protect that more. I protect that so much more. There's a difference between me saying hi and bye to a stranger. We don't really have a relationship. We have a relationship in that moment, and it's respect and it's care. Cool. You know, it's me being civil, it's me being courteous, but there's no long-term investment. But when it comes to my interpersonal relationships, when it comes to my friendships, when it comes to the connections, when it comes to the people I hold in a very high place in my life, which means that you are going to get a lot of me. There is no such thing as I'm going to allow this to be one-sided. In the past, I definitely have. Okay. And the result of that was relationships finally ending. You know, and how a person responded to that was how they responded to it. But there was clearly an incongruency in how they desired to be treated versus how they were looking to treat me in return. I was like, all right, you don't have to do anything different. I'll adjust. Right? And my adjustment means that this relationship can't function in the space that it used to. Right? It's like a lot of times when people say, yeah, you shouldn't have high expectations of people. Right? Or you should lower your expectations of people. If I have to lower my expectations of you, I have to put you in a space where the expectations and your effort are aligned. Right? I'm not going to put an intern in the CEO or vice president position in my company. The reason why is because they're ill-equipped. And I am setting them up for failure. I'm putting you in a position that you're not qualified for. And then when you fall from grace, I'm going to be so upset with you. And also it's going to affect how my business is ran. I'm going to lose out. So if I have to expect a certain level of effort from you, That's what I have to receive. Then you too need to be in that position, which means that you also need to expect from me moving forward the amount of effort that is aligned with how you show up. Nothing more, nothing less. Stop teaching people that you are okay with them loving you improperly. I don't care who it is, but when you try so hard to not be an inconvenience, when you try so hard to be easygoing, when you try so hard to not have needs, when you try so hard to be the cool person, the go with the flow kind of person, the one that's always willing to show up, but they can take care of their own and they can hold their own, people will not respect you more. If anything, they will respect you so much less. And it will show. And it's not just in one way they will show their lack of respect. It's in multiple ways. Because the moment you ask for some level of reciprocity, they'll take it as an offense. And that's when you know, oh, okay, everything was cool. Everything was all good as long as I had no need. Now that it's required for you to invest, it's a problem. And this is why boundaries are so important, right? A boundary is not necessarily this self-inflated ego move. It's saying that, hey, both of us are going to avoid the consequences of what it looks like for me not to have boundaries. It means that I'm not going to be taken advantage of, and you are not going to be expected to show up or pay your dues for what you've taken. It's a boundary now. Pay attention if your love language that you communicate with, that you show up with, is that you are willing to give people everything and they don't have to show up with anything in return, and you are still going to love them in action. And let's look at what love actually means. Love, to love a person, to truly love a person, it means that I want the best for you. We don't do what we think is best. We want the best for a person. So, for example, if a person is taking advantage of you or they're not valuing you in any capacity the way you desire, okay, now what? How do I show this person love? Well, I'm going to take a step away because I don't want you to feel the wrath of my resentments and my disappointment in how you've been treating me. Yeah, I could communicate certain things, but I will not continue to exist in an imbalanced relationship where I start to not see you as the person that I care about, but see you as a person that has harmed me continually. What is your love language? Remove this idea of hyper independence. If you're in relationship with people, the last thing you should be seeking is to be so self-sufficient that a person never has to show up for you, because you are teaching people that they don't have to. Exist in relationships that are willing to be present, not just receive from you. All right. I saw this post. I was just having the conversation with my buddy about it, and I was like, okay, yeah, we are on to something. Okay. Really take care of yourselves and understand what you are teaching other people about you, because they're willing to learn, especially when it doesn't require a lot of work from them. All right. I'm implementing this new group coaching program for one-on-one. If you are interested, I know there are a lot of people who are interested in one-on-one coaching. I have like 3 spots available for one-on-one, but I also have group training that I am opening up, and there's 10 spots left. So if you are looking to hold yourself accountable, if you are looking to participate in a group setting, right? Max 2 to 3 people, and you want that space to grow. The link is going to be in the bio here to sign up. The link is also going to be in the bio for one-on-one coaching. Yeah. If that's something that you're willing to take a step towards and change, well, you have opportunities. Just are you willing to take it? All right. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Take flight.